Today I'm making Rick's first portal gun from the Szechuan sauce episode. For this build, I used scrap wood, scrap foam floor mats, scrap PVC, scrap cardboard. I got a lot of scrap materials, guys. Stuffing, aluminum disc, caution tape, masking tape, plastic domes, heat shrink tubing, hot glue, LEDs, green lighting gel, paint, a rotary tool, sharpening stone, safety gear. These things. First I found a piece of scrap wood and cut it to match the specific damage in that one shot. Then I cut a handle from scrap EVA foam. I did that in 3 sections, the middle one being the only one with the trigger. Then I cleaned up all the rough cuts with my rotary tool. Then I glued them together with hot glue. Contact cement also works, but this shop is not real well ventilated, so hot glue. Alright, that's a really rough handle, so let's clean it up on my belt sander. Freaking love this thing. Then I use a piece of scrap pipe for the cylinder on top. It's supposed to have caution lines on it that are much narrower than the caution tape that I have, so I cut additional strips in order to get it to scale. As silly as this seems, it's way faster than waiting for yellow paint to dry. I glued it to the top and then attached bands made from the puzzle piece strips. Also used my belt sander to get rid of the pattern on those. I love this. It's so much time. This is saving me so much time, everybody. Now I'm gonna work on the emitter. I found 2 random plastic domes from my parts bin and cut green gels to fit inside both of them. Then I made the cylindrical part of the emitter, painted it, and set it aside to dry. So normally when you paint EVA foam, the proper way to do that, you do a really brief pass with the heat gun, then fill in all the cracks with quick seal, wait for that to dry, coat it in Plastidip, wait for that to dry, then paint it, and wait for that to dry. But I'm not building this for commission, and this does not have to hold up to elements or anything. It doesn't have to last. I'm just doing this for fun. I think if I were making this for a client, I'd actually make the whole thing out of wood. I let that dry and attach this little spacer that connects the handle to the plank. I also hot glued the foam cylinder to the lens. Then I glued the emitter and the handle to the plank. The housing looks like a bent up piece of metal, so I cut that out of cardboard, put a couple holes in it with a hole punch, and painted that silver. I made the reactor casing out of a plastic peanut butter jar and scrap foam because of course, you know, these are the things that I use. I painted the ends silver and set them aside to dry. That looks like a battery, like a big cartoony battery. I mean, I guess it kind of is. I noticed a Demogorgon trying to break into my reality from the upside down, so I called a plumber. I glued some heat shrink tubing in place and threaded it through the plank. I cut the tubing to length and then threaded a section of scrap PVC over that. Then I glued the lumen disc to the PVC. I didn't go overboard on this because the batteries are gonna die eventually, and I don't want to have to destroy everything to change the batteries. I attached the fake foam housing. I didn't glue that one part of it together till it was actually on there. I lightly glued the peanut butter jar in there and figured out how much stuffing to put inside. So you have to fill the entire volume, but you don't want to put too much in there because then you won't get good light distribution. Then I glued the top on. The cardboard housing from before is dry, so I attached it. So in the show, Rick builds this in a matter of minutes. I guess we don't really see it because there's a commercial break, but he puts it together pretty quickly out of all the smashed up junk in his garage. And he's holding it all together with masking tape, which is amazing. So I got some masking tape and tried to match his placement. I added a bunch of random wires for gack and placed these small LEDs behind the lenses. Sweet. Okay, so there's 3 light sources in there and I have to turn each of them on individually for it to be active. If you're gonna try this and you don't have a deadline, you may want to think about wiring them all together, putting the switch where the trigger is, but that's entirely up to you. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. If you're new to the channel, I do replica props from movies and video games. If you have a specific prop that you want to see, let me know in comments below, because I'm not even aware of everything anymore. I have missed so many freaking movies, which is ironic because at this point I've worked on a bunch of movies. I don't get the time to see them. So yeah, I'm culturally way behind. If you feel like supporting me on Patreon, that'd go a long way towards getting those props made because, you know, this is something that I have to do in my off hours right now. And yeah, like, subscribe, do what you want to do. It's a free internet. Jake out.